The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. Released in June 2004 for Windows PC and the PlayStation Portable handheld device 2 years later. It was later localized for American audience in 2011 by Xseed Games. A game critically acclaimed, received well by critics and fans alike. Held as one of the greatest RPGs of this decade. Why? Well, let me go into detail and tell you why it's considered great. Taking place on the continent of Zemuria, in the kingdom of Librio. 10 years after a war with the Empire of Erebonia, you take the role of Esteli's Bright, waiting for her father Cassius to return home. He brings with him an injured boy named Joshua, telling Estelle that he is going to adopt him. Estelle is pleased, as now she has a sibling of her own. Fast forward a few years later, and now 16-year-old Estelle and Joshua want to follow in their father's footsteps and become bracers, members of society that maintain peace in Librio. While Cassius is on a job, they get a job to find the mayor's stolen crystal, with the help of their teacher Sherazard. The learner was taken by a group of sky bandits and reclaimed the crystal, while letting the sky bandits escape. While all seemed well for the group, they returned to the guild to find out that the ship Cassius rode for his mission never landed, and disappeared with him on it. Following the announcement, they packed their bags and set out on a grand adventure to find their father. And that is only the beginning. You see, Trails in the Sky has 5 chapters. Each chapter has their own self-contained stories that connect into the main plot of the entire game. There's the story of finding their father, the stories of orphans who have lost their home, and more. The final chapter is when everything you learned in the previous chapter comes together, and it's really well done. Falcom did a great job on writing these separate arcs, but they wouldn't have been possible if the characters weren't also great. You want to see their stories, the struggles they go through, and how they rise above them. The story may start off slow, but it picks up as it goes along, all leading into a grand climax. I'm not going to spoil it, as I would like you to see it all on your own. The writers at Falcom did a fantastic job, and I applaud them on their work for making a very engaging and interesting story. Now, usually, well, at least from the companies I buy my games from, they have a person that is credited for the soundtrack of a game, like Nobuo Uematsu, Shoji Meguro, and Yasunori Masuda. Falcom, though, all their games as far as I know, are credited as Falcom Sound Team JDK. Their music is great. My big problem with the music in this game is, while it's great, a lot of tracks get reused, which might be because the company is not that huge, but I don't think it was a problem for the Ys franchise, another one of Falcom's series. But I haven't played a Ys game since Ys 8 came out on the PS4 earlier this year, so I could be wrong. As I said though, despite the problem of it being reused, the music is fantastic. The music is very catchy, but not the annoying kind of catchy. You'll be thinking about it days after you've completed the game. Sophisticated Fight is one of the best pieces of music I've had the pleasure of listening to. The team really outdid themselves, and I applaud Falcom Sound Team. Now, before I get into the battle gameplay, I want to talk about one of the best aspects in this game, the NPCs. Each NPC's dialogue changes as the game advances, allowing the player to follow along the little side stories as you go through the game. I love this feature as many RPGs don't do this. The overworld gameplay is like a standard RPG, going from town to town, getting side quests, completing them, and making money. Now, let's get into the battle system. It's turn-based on a grid arena. It makes me feel like Final Fantasy X and strategy RPGs like Fire Emblem and Devil Survivor. The thing that I really like about this battle system is that there are character-specific special attacks called crafts. They consume craft points. In my playthrough, I use these more than magic attacks, aka arts. Arts are useful too, as they give debuffs and buffs, but crafts give status elements, plus debuffs and buffs, and can be used right away, while arts can take a few turns. S-crafts are supers, a la Mystic Arts from the Tales franchise. Characters get multiples as the story progresses. They also get boosts if you allow your craft points to get to 200 instead of 100 to use them. Further extending S-crafts are S-breaks, which allow characters to immediately perform their S-crafts if they have a 100 craft points, regardless of the turn order. A good way to turn the tide of battle if you feel you are losing. Mostly useful on boss fights. Oh, and I can't forget about AT bonuses. They can work in your favor and against you, if your enemy gets something like poison attack or crit. So be careful and make sure to set up the field to your advantage. All in all, I find it a very engaging battle system. It can feel slow at times, but once you get used to it, that really won't be a problem. The biggest thing that really hurts the game is the dungeons. They are not good. Everything in the dungeons look the same. They're very annoying to navigate, and the compass doesn't help at all. It's not a problem during the prologue, but as the game progresses, they just get worse. It doesn't kill my enjoyment of the game, but it's something that I really hope they improve in second chapter. Visually, the game looks fine. Nothing really amazing, but I do have a nostalgic feeling when I look at the game's graphics. The effects are nice, and so are the character conversation sprites. I think the Evo remake for the PS Vita did a much better job with visual by adding character portraits during S-Crafts. It was a really nice addition. While there were better looking games on the PSP and PC during 2004, I think they did a really nice job with the game with the budget they had. Trails in the Sky is a fantastic game. It starts off slow, but when it picks up, you really understand why people love it so much. Like any game, it has flaws. But the story, characters, battle system, world building, and fantastic music are so good, I really don't feel that the flaws will hurt your experience. Trails in the Sky is old, yes, and it really shows. But if you have a couple of bucks laying around, get it on Steam. Try it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed.